Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to try and answer the question, is overclocking your CPU even worth it? What's up everybody, it's PJ the Great. I hope you're having a super beautiful day. And if you're new here, I do videos just like this as well as ADHD tips, which I haven't done in a while, but I promise to get back to it. So if that sounds like your jam, consider subscribing. And to all my returning subscribers, what's up great ones? Welcome back. Alright, so in today's video, I want to talk about overclocking your CPU and if it's really worth it or not. I just came up with this video idea last night because of a couple of issues I've been having, not just last night, but for the past couple of days. Now, for those of you who do not know, I do have a Mixer account now. You can find me on Mixer at PJ the Great, just the way it's spelled here on YouTube. And I started streaming a little bit of gameplay. Me and my friend Rumham76 have been playing 7 Days to Die, and I wanted to get into a little co-streaming with him. Now, ever since I started doing co-streams is when I started running into the dreaded blue screens of death. My computer has been working just fine. Baby Blue, which is right behind me, has been working just fine until I entered the world of streaming. And I don't know what it is about streaming that my computer doesn't like, but from the blue screen messages that I have been getting, I found out that it definitely has something to do with my overclock. Now, for those of you who may not know, I am rocking a Rode Crosshair 6 Hero in baby blue. That's an X370 motherboard. Yes, I know it's pretty old, but it's been working fine for me for the most part since I've owned it. And I did notice that when I did update it to the latest and greatest BIOS, that's when I started to witness some of my issues, but they kind of worked themselves out with a few tweaks here, a few tweaks there. The main crashes, the main issues have been coming from when I try and stream. Now, the streaming software that I use is Streamlabs OBS, and I do not blame that software at all for my issues. I blame it on the overclock. So what I wanted to find out is overclocking really worth it? The reason why I asked that is because the friend that I do stream with, he has an awesome PC. I actually built it right here on this channel, and I'll link a link up here if you want to check that build out. He doesn't overclock, so he doesn't have any issues. He goes on, he streams, and his setup is pretty much identical to mine. The only difference is he has the Ryzen 7 2700X, and I have the Ryzen 7 2700. That's the only difference. He has a RTX 2080. I have a RTX 2060 Super. So they're pretty much the same machines. He has no issues at all with his streams. I'm getting blue screens of death. So I wanted to dig into the BIOS and then dreadfully bring it back down to stock settings to see if I could not only eliminate that blue screen problem, but will I notice the difference between having a 4 gigahertz overclock on this thing, dropping it all the way back down to stock at 3.2. Now, this is going to be very interesting to me because I have never ran a processor since moving back over to the PC Master Race at stock settings. I've gone through the A8, then the Ryzen 5 1600, the original one, then Ryzen 7 1700, then the Ryzen 7 2700 that I have right here. Every time, the minute I dumped it into my computer, overclock. So this should be interesting. And it was. Let's take a look at these test results.
My life depends on trying to figure a scribble I could let loose, dodging the dribble that they trying to throw my way. I think I figured that them figures out to get you. Let them pull the strings that trigger what you say. Think it's difficult to get out on my brain.
All right, the test results are in, and as you can see, a drastic drop in performance. I mean, ouch. Let's take a look at the first test results, which is Geekbench 5. And as you can see right here, I'll throw it up on the screen again, just in case you missed it in the little small B-roll segment there. When I was overclocked at 4 gigahertz, I was getting 1029 single core and 7450 multi-core. Now, bringing it back down to stock, I have dropped down to 887 single core and 6459 multi-core. That's a huge drop on paper. When I saw that, my jaw dropped on the floor like, holy crap, is it that big of a difference going from a 4 gigahertz overclock going back down to 3.2 stock? Yes, it is. So then I turned on Cinebench and I wanted to see what would the difference be in Cinebench. And as you saw, and I'll bring it right back on the screen now, when I had my 4 gigahertz overclock, I was getting 3770 in the multi-core score. Going back down to stock, 3010. What is that, like 760 point drop? Ugh, that's ugly. I don't think I like stock. Now, the primary thing that I do with Baby Blue over here is I create content for this channel or outside in the real world. So I wanted to see what kind of performance drop would there be there going back down to stock. Now, I didn't think I would see a huge difference here because I use Davinci Resolve Studio 16 and I have a NVIDIA graphics card and I have it set to where all of my exports are using the graphics card rather than the CPU. So I was thinking everything's going to be around the same, right? Wrong. At my 4 gigahertz overclock with the NVIDIA assisted export, I tested this out on an 8-minute video that I did, 1440p. It took only 1 minute and 38 seconds. Going back down to stock with the NVIDIA export, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then just to test things out, I wanted to see what it would be like to do the exporting using the Ryzen at stock and not taking advantage of the NVIDIA exporting. And the time increased even more, which I expected it would, 2 minutes and 49 seconds. Now, a lot of people might say, you know what, those aren't bad numbers. And you're right, they're not. The stock numbers aren't bad at all. But when you're used to smaller numbers, thanks to your overclock, once again, jaw dropping. And I've done everything that I can within the BIOS to try and squeeze as much performance out of this chip as possible while running it at stock. I got the core performance boost enabled and the DLCP standard is set instead of using just, you know, standard out of the box, and hopes to squeeze some more performance out of it. And these are the numbers that I am getting. Am I happy with it? It's kind of hard to tell. I actually did a dry run last night on Mixer. I did a stream. The only difference this time is I didn't have my buddy with me within the stream, but that shouldn't make a difference at all. The good news is I was able to stream for like a good 10-15 minutes, no blue screen of death. So my overclock definitely did have something to do with that. So that is a bonus. But outside of that, it seems like I am losing performance. Or am I? So the only way that I'm going to be able to know for sure is I'm going to keep it at stock settings for an entire week and see if I notice the performance difference. Now, I can be perfectly honest with you. I think the average consumer would not see the difference at all. If I gave the average consumer a computer at like stock, better yet, if I gave them a computer that was overclocked and had them use it for a week, then take it from them, put it at stock and give it back to them, I don't think they can notice the difference. And that's what I want to see, is I want to see if I will notice the difference. I don't consider myself an average consumer. I don't consider myself an above consumer, but I'm right there somewhere in the middle. And I want to see if I'm going to notice the difference. If I do, after a week's time, will I go back to my overclock? I think yes, I will, but I either won't go to the same extreme as I was before, or I may do a little bit more homework on how to be a better overclocker. But to be perfectly honest with you, after using it for a week, if I don't notice any difference at all, I might just leave it and just let it run at stock. And another thing I forgot to touch upon too is like when I did my test stream mixer, I was playing my game, I was playing 7 Days to Die. I didn't notice any difference in the frame rate. I have the little FPS counter like in the corner of my screen thanks to NVIDIA software, and I was glancing up at it every now and then, and I was still getting my average anywhere between the upper 70s and mid 80s frames per second at 1440p. So I didn't notice a difference at all dropping from 4 gigahertz overclock to stock settings. Now that PC build that I did, my HTPC, and I'll link that video right up here if you guys want to check that out. I'm running that Ryzen 5 1600 AF at stock, and it's fine for me, and I didn't even overclock it. It's like the first time I didn't overclock one of my own personal PCs. So I'm thinking that I'll be okay with this, but man, 4 gigahertz to 3.2 is a big drop. And this processor supposedly has like a 4.1 boost. Every test I did on it, like stress tests, everything, it doesn't go any higher than 3.4. So I don't know where this 4.1 is coming from, because I am not getting anywhere near that. But all things considered, I'm gonna use it for a week at stock, and then I'll report back to you guys and gals and let you know if stock is good enough or if it's not a bad idea to do a little bit of a overclock. Hey, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a big old thumbs up. But if you hated it, you can give it a thumbs down. But no matter what you do, don't forget to click that subscribe button and click the bell right next to it so you'll be notified every time I upload new videos. And do me a favor, hit me up in the comments and let me know, are you running your system overclocked or are you running it at stock? And how do you feel about it? Did you overclock at one point and thought, you know, the benefits is not really there, so I'm just gonna run it at stock? Or were you the opposite? You were running at stock and you're like, I want more. So you decided to overclock. Hit me up in the comment section. I would love to hear your story. And don't forget to stay tuned next week for my 1 week recap. And until I see you in the next video, this is PJ the Great saying Audi 5000G. But man, 4 gigahertz all the way down to 3.2, 3.4 on a good boost. That's kind of huge.
But I always wanna spend my time with you, even when I'm walking, got no change. You still sticking here with me. Yeah, you still sticking here with me.